But here and there among the conformist fat cat crowds is a lean cat or two, looking like it might swing, given some encouragement.
IU professor and director of the Elizabeth Sage Historic Costume Collection, Heather Aku, explains the original counterculture movement throughout the Vietnam War, highlighting how politics and culture affected fashion and how they still do today.
Well, I was wondering, in fact, what your definition of counterculture was, because, I mean, that term kind of came about during the Vietnam War era, where it was like hippie, dirty hippies who were making a very clear statement through their address, which was, we don't want to be drafted, we don't think this war is okay, screw you and your mainstream culture. So that was like the original, kind of counterculture movement. But there are other kinds of countercultures today where people are, making the same kind of political statements, but there are more of them and it's more diverse today.
Aku says thrifting and shopping for vintage fashion has become one of these new forms of expression, allowing individuals to pick and choose old and new aspects to make their own look.
I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, we have such a buffet of things that we can purchase today. I mean, it's not surprising that you see so many different kinds of expression, which in many ways is great because we don't all look good in the same things.
Tony Abascal, an IU apparel merchandising major, says that the current social climate is one thing that has affected change in the way we dress today.
Everybody's really accepting now of practically everything, so fashion is definitely going to come into that and then play. So people can really express themselves how they want to and feel like they're not going to be judged. And if they are judged, they know that's not how it should be, and a lot of people are going to have their backs for that,
Abascal describes his own personal style as ever-changing and says he never wants to be put in a box with his fashion. While he doesn't follow major trends, he feels as if this generation is primarily recycling instead of creating them.
So one thing I always notice that we do is, I feel like when people try to say, oh, what's our, trend, as a generation, I feel like one of the biggest things we do is just bring everything back. So, we bring 50s clothes back, 60s clothes back. Thrift shopping is really big right now. People love to get older clothes. I personally do, too. Vintage things. So I feel like that's, one of our biggest things is just bringing back other generation styles.
Autumn Siney, a studio arts major focusing in ceramics, compiles the many stylistic looks she enjoys into her own brand, Degenerate, allowing her to make and wear her own clothing.
A lot of it I found has to do with just ideas. So a lot of it has to do with going against social norms or fighting the man or just their people are unhappy with the culture around them, and so they decide to rebel, and they show that through what they're wearing. And to some extent, that's what I'm doing with what my brand is. But I feel like there are just too many people in the world that want to look the part and talk out of their ass when they don't really know what's going on.
Siney says this repurposing for a purpose is what's leading this generation's counterculture to the forefront.
We should educate ourselves and go as far as we know and listen to others around us, and don't adapt what's cool for the sake of being cool, because that really just takes a lot of the actual force we need out of it,